met this woman the other day, and I asked her how to describe India. She called it the land of magic. But she said she felt like India was also losing its magic. You had this inspiration to start a school.
I met these kids and I realized that this is what I wanted to do with my life.
Is the school K through 5th grade?
K through 10.
And what do the kids study?
Everything.
What's the background of the children here?
You have to either have no parents or one parent who couldn't in any way take care of you to live in. And to come into the school, you have to have parents who earn less than 1,000 rupees justifiably. Means through a disability, or you're a beggar, or you're a sweeper, or you're an unskilled laborer.
So is that kind of parlay into the whole, like, in your caste system?
They're all untouchable.
What is an untouchable?
My concept of it is that it was set up originally to make India work. There were teachers who were the prasads, there were priests who were the pandits, and they needed somebody to do the dirty work. So they created a caste called the untouchables, and it's their born birthright and duty to clean the shit of other people. And for example, when I started working, I immediately wanted to put lunch in all the schools. I wanted to feed the children. And the villagers opposed me, and they said, we will not let our children eat with those children. And I said, why? They said, because they're untouchable. They can't eat in the same place. They can't drink from the same tap. I put in water lines to the school, and at night they broke them because an untouchable had taken water from it, so it was desecrated.
Is there anything to compare to in the West, this kind of caste system?
Prejudice. But here it's religiously acceptable. They were branded, and they're no longer branded. What they are is they're denied education. They wind up being the ones that fall through the crack of education, so they become the scab labor, like this boy. This boy's father works for 40 rupees a day. He has 5 children. He sold this boy when he was 9 years old. We managed to get him back. He sold him because he couldn't feed the others. If you were taught, like these children were when they were born, that they must be very careful, they must never take water from certain taps, they must never do anything that would make someone else's life or place dirty, then if no one told you that it wasn't true, you would believe it. And the whole idea of Ramana's garden is that it's not telling them that it's not true, it's giving them a life that makes them know it's not true. It's giving them a future. Look, this is going to be a multi-million-dollar resort. If we walk over there right now, there are 500 Bihari laborers building it. They're laboring for 40 rupees a day. They're doing that because they're hungry. They're doing that because they don't have an education. Never, not one of these kids will ever carry a brick on their head. They won't have to. Our kids are so well educated and they speak perfect English. And when they come out of our school, no one would ever dare to believe they're untouchable. And that's what Ramana's is all about, making sure that every one of these kids will be able to go to university, every one of them. Right. This little girl living under a piece of plastic on the bridge, you know, she lives under plastic. Several of these kids do. They come here and go to school, and so from us, they get their lunch every day, they get their clothes, they get their books. They get everything free, otherwise they would be in the street begging. And if you beg in the street from this age, what are you going to do when you grow up? You'll either be a thief or a beggar. But you won't have to do that. None of them will. Anurag, what do you want to do?
I'll be a teacher.
He wants to be a teacher. His mother breaks rocks and his father carries them on his head. They build roads.
What do you want to do?
I want to be a doctor.
You want to be a doctor?
Teacher. Pilot.
So when I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they actually are saying their dreams. That's almost unheard of.
An architect, an artist, a painter, a pilot with a difference. If they become a teacher, they'll be a teacher that makes a difference. If they become a doctor, they'll make a difference. It's not about just having a job. It's understanding that we all have to make a difference in our own little ways, our own little pond. This is our pond. We want to feed you.
Welcome to Ramana's garden.
They will have a future where they can create their own future. Right here and now, they can say, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a teacher, I want to make a difference.
This is our kitchen. We are cooking here food.
We have our own bakery. The kids bake cookies, croissants. They're learning to make a difference. They're learning that this food makes a difference. They know that people eat here and not in the other restaurants because we make a difference.
So it's all organic and vegetarian?
It's all organic. It's all grown by the kids. There's a benefit to grow your food healthy. So we now collaborate with a group that are trying to spread green awareness. They're called Navadanya. And they have got over 1,800 farmers that are now willingly growing organic. So we support them. Down in the cafe right now, you'll find people down there that are saying, we eat here every day because it's different.
Do you have any success stories you can share?
We have 13 teachers that are untouchable and are teaching in schools in Delhi, in the high private schools of Dehradun, which is the capital of education of all North India. We have 16 boys that are electricians. 2 of them have their own electrician company to do wiring and bring light into Brahmin houses. I like that.
Must make you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you feel good when your kids do good?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
really rewarding.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's great.
I like it. I love beating the system. I was an actress living and working in Hollywood. I came to Pune as a seeker. I lived in an ashram for 18 years and wound up in Lucknow with the oldest and strongest disciple of Ramana Maharshi, which is why this is called Ramana's garden. And he brought me here to Ganga on a pilgrimage and took me to a place that's 7 kilometers upriver, which was a broken, decaying, the roof falling in old ashram, and there was a cave there where he'd spent a lot of time, and he told me that I needed to stay there in silence and do sadhana. And I started meeting kids, and basically kids were just coming because they were curious, this crazy white lady in a cave by the bank of the Ganga. And you know, they didn't have any buttons. That was the first thing that struck me. None of them had a button on their shirt, and a lot of them would have like the whole sleeve hanging off. So we started sewing buttons, and then we started making numbers, and then we started learning to write our name. And first there were 5, and then there were 10, and then there were 20. And it's not like I came here and said I'm going to be a social worker and I'm going to change anything. I was trying to change myself. I started to feel totally helpless. Like so many kids came and so many villages needed help, and I had very little money left, and so I decided I had to leave. It was too big for me. I can't do this. And if I can't make a difference, I don't want to be here. I've seen something living here. These kids have touched me. If I can't make something change, then I shouldn't be here. I should go and do something else. So I was actually going to leave and had come down from the cave to make those arrangements to leave. And Ganga rose. She rose double or triple her height. And while I was away, she rose and she took everything I owned in the world. The cave was gone when I came home. And I came back and all the kids were there to meet me, and they were so excited. And they were jumping up and down and shouting, "Gate, gate." And I started saying, "Gate, gate," because I thought it was some new greeting. And all of a sudden I see that where my whole life, where my whole identity, where everything I thought I was, is a wave of water. It's gone. And in that moment, villagers start arriving, and they keep telling me, "Chinta mat karo," and I don't know what that means either. It's don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. And they build me a little structure. And they brought food, they brought a string bed, they brought a mattress, they brought carpets, they brought buttermilk. And there's 70 of us in there in a space this big. And I looked at these people and I realized I'm not going to leave. They're giving everything they have and asking zero in return. Their only concern that night is that it wasn't enough. It was all they had and they wanted to give more. And I'm going to pack and run.
What is the message of the Ganga?
Every moment will be new. Embrace it. If you hang on to anything, you'll suffer. The essence is with the river. The essence is in the eyes of the kids. That essence, it's still here. The magic is still here.
Bharatanatyam is one of the 7 Indian classical dance styles, and Bharatanatyam in particular is considered to be one of the oldest classical dance styles of India. I feel it has almost everything that India has to offer. Because when you watch a dance performance, you get to know the range of poetry, music, spirituality, philosophy, mythology, because we use a lot of mythology, we tell a lot of stories through the dance. The best of the weaves that we have to offer in our country, the best of jewelry that we have to offer. So dance really brings everything together. 3 main components are really enshrined in the word Bharatanatyam itself. Bha, Ra and Ta come out of the word Bharata. From Bha we get Bhava or expression. From Ra we get Raga or melody. And from Ta we get Tala or rhythm. So it's really the coming together of expression, rhythm and melody, which really are the key components to this beautiful style. And when we say expression, we use the entire body to express, to interpret the poetry, the mythology, the spiritual component of the dance. All that is done beautifully through the body in a very stylized, aesthetic way. Just one gesture can express so many different things. So it's a complete dictionary of meaning that one has to learn over the years. A simple thing like the open palm, it's called the Pataka Hasta. Pataka literally means a flag. Pataka, Tripataka, Ardha Pataka, Kartari Mukha, Mayura, Ardha Chandra, Arala, Shukatunda, Mushti, Shikhara, Kapitha, Katakamukha, Suchi, Chandrakala, Padmakosha, Sarpashirsha, Mrigashirsha, Simhamukha, Kangula, Alapadma. Just take the simple Pataka. This is the first simple hand gesture. It could be used in its abstract form, the whole world. Mother Earth, wind, the body, a great person, somebody lying in bed, you, I, that other woman, the third aspect, which is the rhythmic component. We use the bells or the anklets to accentuate the feet movements and the rhythmic patterns that we create. We use gravity. We are actually squatting and we take that force down and we beat our feet and we use gravity as a technique to express ourselves. We use it very forcefully sometimes, very delicately sometimes, but always towards gravity. We use the entire body to communicate. So that's what makes the dance that much more rich. The melodic aspect is basically the Carnatic style of singing, which is used to accompany the dance. Every nuance that the musician takes in the music we are supposed to translate it in the dance through, it could be just a movement of the eye, it could be just a turn of the hand, but it had to match what the singer was singing. It used to be a tradition where the dancer or the Devadasi used to sit, never used to move. She could sing as well as she could dance. This is a small piece dedicated to Krishna from the temple tradition. The history of the dance is rather interesting because initially it used to be performed in the temples as part of temple ritual by a small band of trained women called Devadasis. It could be the temple of a goddess, it could be a temple of Shiva, Krishna, any of the deities, and she would actually be part of everyday temple ritual. The spiritual part of it is the most engaging, especially for the dancer. And then you start thinking with the beautiful grammar and technique that your teacher has given you, with the experience of what is possible, how much you can push yourself, bringing all that together, what is the depth of the art form? What can it do to you and what can you do to the art form and build on it? Because there's so many things that the dance offers. So it's very, very complex at one level and very simple at the other level, because these are the ladders that most dancers go through, and it's a process that's very unique. I was fortunate to learn from one of the last Devadasis who had survived, who had danced in the temple, and then who had seen the dance form being recreated on stage. As a young child, when I was 5, I was taken to her and I started learning the art form. And now looking back, what she gave me was absolutely invaluable, because she was still from that old school where for her the essence of the dance was to nurture the soul and to be seeped in the tradition. What I learned from her is that you can have two sides to the art form, where you perform sometimes to entertain, sometimes to elevate, but at the same time you can keep a space which is completely yours, and that space is very important for me, where you can have your own journey through the art form.
The tiger is the most charismatic mammal on this planet. I'm not entirely sure that India or the world really wants tigers. The needs are very basic, but it needs space, exclusive space, and it needs food, water and protection. There doesn't seem to be much place in modern India for tigers. The crunch here in India is land. We now have 28 tiger reserves, which are set aside for the better management and protection of tigers. But the problem is that at least 10 of them, there's no tigers.
Why is it so hard to conserve them?
The tiger has become a big nuisance, and it's now been portrayed as tiger versus people. So of course, politically you have to support people, not tigers, when in fact it is not tiger versus people. The tiger is a very separate issue, tiger conservation.
What's the issue? Why can't we protect the tiger?
Well, in a single word, it's politics. The authorities do not want to highlight any poaching incidences. A tiger is killed, so it's quickly buried and the whole thing is hushed up. I do sympathize with them a little bit, because if a park manager admits that there's a tiger poaching case in his park, he'll get shifted to the back of beyond, his children's education will suffer, his career suffers. Nobody's encouraged to do good enforcement. So we are losing our wild tigers for a fashion statement. By wearing a tiger skin in particular, all the people that are viewing you at a horse festival know that you have the purchasing power, the money. Tiger products like tiger bones and eyeballs and penises and whiskers and everything, that's all processed into traditional Chinese medicine. That's then smuggled to Chinese communities around the world. There are groups of professional poachers. There's two in particular. One is based in Western India, one in Central India, who do nothing but this sort of poaching. And there's a large number of them. They travel from place to place, wherever there's tiger habitat, wherever there are tigers. And then they work with local people. For instance, villagers living in or on the fringes of a tiger reserve merely have to say to them, oh, a cow has been killed in such and such a place, or a cheetal or samba has just been killed, and they get a reward, a cash reward from the poachers, and they don't necessarily take part in the crime. There's 4 common ways to kill a tiger. The sort of traditional way is to use this steel trap. You just dig a little hole, open the trap, which is quite difficult, and then there's a thick chain that is connected to a tree. Recently we found they've been laying 3 or 4 of these traps and measuring the tiger's stride. Second way, poison. Cats are very susceptible to poison. It's very cheap, very easy, and that's poisoning the kill. The third way is electrocution. So they tap a live wire and then put these long trails that can be up to 2 kilometers long. Those traps are mostly set for food, for deer meat and so on. And tigers are forever getting killed in them. In fact, one I heard got killed yesterday. Then the fourth way is shooting. And you'd think that shooting would be pretty difficult in a protected area. But the last few tigers that have been killed in both Ranthambore and in Suriska, guns were used. Personally, I'm really puzzled why there isn't a bigger outcry. The problem has been presented through the media fairly thoroughly. Is it that the world doesn't care?
I'm Nandita Krishna. I'm the director of the C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer Foundation.
Say hello to your friends.
The foundation has set up many institutes such as the CPR Environmental Education Center, the CPR Institute of Indological Research, CP Art Center, and the Saraswati Kendra Learning Center for Children with dyslexia, autism, learning disabilities, ADD, and so on. Dog to Dog is a program that was really started in Hong Kong by Animals Asia Foundation. In Chennai, there are about 20 dogs in the program. They go to different schools. Some of the schools are for the retarded, children with Down syndrome and so on.
Little Jumble. Jumble, he takes for breakfast.
We found that it was very good at making children speak.
His name is Mikey. Yes, Mikey. What is M-I-K-E-Y?
I have a dog. It's a boxer. And, its name is Bruno. Very friendly. Love to play with people. My pastime is, spending time with them.
Dogs are not threatening. The child feels superior and there's no pressure on the child. Whereas whether the parents say do this or the teacher tries to teach in the kindest way possible, that is still too much pressure on the child.
Talk to Jumble. Ask her what she ate for breakfast.
Jumble, what did you eat? Jumble, what did you eat?
Whereas here he's talking to another being who cannot talk at all.
Yeah, dogs are so friendly.
It's a golden retriever, what I've got at home.
It's so much easier when there is a dog and they are able to talk.
If you love to be with dogs, it's not hard at all.
I take him for walks every day.
Yeah, you can kiss her. You want her to kiss, you ask her. You ask her.
Tell her to get...
Give me a kiss.
We just saw a case of a young boy who could barely speak and who brought out one sentence to tell the dog to give him a kiss.
Good to have a dog. It's fun.